So, cdawg VA from Trash Taste has confirmed they will not be bringing Hasan Piker back on their show anymore. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and yes, we're absolutely going to go over exactly what he said in regards to the Hasan Piker fiasco, considering that episode of Trash Taste got ratioed into oblivion for bringing on that terrorist sympathizer. And I'm going to be real out the gate. I'm going to let you guys know that I am not more or less without my bias here. I used to be a fan of both Joey the Anime Man and cdawg VA, both their individual channels and the Trash Taste podcast. And then a couple years ago, they brought Hasan on. I quit watching them there. Like, I was just like, oh, so these guys support socialism and maybe even communism. Yeah, no, I'm good. And I have not watched Trash Taste since. This was a big story a couple days ago when they bring Hasan back on dropped. But I didn't cover it because there was a lot of other stuff going on. But now that an actual explanation and the thoughts of one of the folks behind the show is actually speaking on it, I think it'd be fun to cover it. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into this. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover news nearly every day. Let's see what cdawg VA got to say about Hasan being on the show.
You know, I told Hasan as well. I was like, hey, look, the show is not political. We don't want to deal with politics. You know, we're most likely not going to have you on again. No.
I really hope that most likely was just him, you know, treating Hasan with kid gloves and that it is official. Yeah, he will not be coming back on. There's no good reason to have brought Hasan on in the first place, considering everything that everybody knows about him. And you're going to hear a little bit later on in this that he claims that, oh, they didn't know there was such backlash. They didn't know about the stuff Hasan had said or did. We'll get into that when it comes up. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, he talks about how Trash Taste isn't a political show. And that was why I enjoyed it for the most part back in the day. It's like, I get enough politics on X or back at the time Twitter, through all the political stuff I watch on YouTube. When I want to watch my anime stuff, my anime content, I want it to just be that, anime content. And then bring Hasan on, who is literally incapable of doing anything in an apolitical fashion, and quite frankly is one of the biggest scumbags on the internet. That one time was enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm out and never watching the show again. And I've not really watched Joey or cdawg's channels either, unless like it is, unless I'm watching something and they show up in it or they're being reacted to, but their actual individual channels, I've never watched since. I mean, Hasan was divisive even back then, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure he acknowledges in this, but either way, let's keep going.
No, and that's not like anything like, hey man, you know, it's just like, look, we don't want to fucking deal with politics. I think the Trash Taste viewers also don't fucking want to deal with intense fucking comments. It sucks to read. People just getting fucking upset as shit.
You think, I mean, look, you're talking about, oh, your Trash Taste viewers don't want to deal with negative comments. It was the Trash Taste viewers that left the negative comments. Say what you mean. The Trash Taste cast members, you, Joey, gigguk when he's on there, like, you guys don't want to deal with the negative comments because, well, that goes to show that you weren't paying attention to your audience and to the general needs and wants of your audience. Is it a case of your audience doesn't want politics? Very probably, because a lot of anime fans don't want it. In fact, I wouldn't have gotten so heavy into politics, be it on my channel or on other people's channels or whatnot, if they hadn't been so heavily influential into the nerd culture stuff that we love. Whether it's anime, video games, comics, movies, tabletop gaming, you name it, politics have infested everything, and the vast majority of us just want to leave politics out of it. Now, don't get me wrong, I would still be interested in politics, but actual real world politics, you know, oh, who is up for election, what policies are they running, let's discuss this, let's discuss that. We don't need it in our goddamn escapism. But that being said, you should have known that. You have known Hasan for years. You've had him on the show before. So I mean, I appreciate what he's trying to do, assuming he's being genuine, but I don't even know that I want to give cdawg the benefit of the doubt, because this is all old news. You had Hasan on 2 years ago, and there was backlash then. You're going to have him on again now when his rhetoric has only been amped up to the nth degree? You made a bad decision, and you're either being genuine and you're just really bad at explaining yourself, or you're just trying to save face. I mean, I guess one is forgivable, but if you're going to be on YouTube and talking to an audience, man, you probably shouldn't be this bad at explaining yourself if I was to grant you that much benefit of the doubt
about it. And I know some like fans of Hasan will be annoyed about that, but you know, I just told them, I was like, look, at the end of the day, we don't want to invite like a fucking shit show to the comments. And I think it was ignorant on our part to think that if we just didn't talk about politics, that it would stay out of it, because that was
Yes, okay, maybe he does have some self-awareness, because you're right, that was incredibly ignorant. Like, imagine, Tim Pool is an open anime fan, right? He's talked about Dragon Ball and Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia and One Piece and whatnot. He's openly talked about all this stuff on his show. He's a Dragon Ball fan, whatever. He makes Super Saiyan references pretty frequently. Do you think, if you guys, would you even consider bringing on Tim Pool, but thinking like, well, as long as Tim Pool doesn't talk about politics, we can have him on the show? No. Let's be real. You guys identify with at least the left-leaning politics that Hasan pretends to have until he gets into his extremes of, hey, let's side with terrorists. You would not bring on a political commentator YouTuber that is openly an anime fan. I mean, you've talked about how Nux is too divisive to bring on. You wouldn't bring him on. You wouldn't bring somebody like me on if I was bigger. Or let's say Hypnotic. Hypnotic, 100,000 plus subscriber channel, has an entire channel dedicated to his manga, which is growing rapidly fast because Hypno is a massive manga reader. You wouldn't bring Hypno on. He's too divisive. He has the wrong politics. So, again, you're either incredibly ignorant or you're playing a political bias and you only thought, oh, as long as we don't talk politics, it'll be fine. Because you think most folks, whether it be on the show or in the comments, agree with your politics, but just don't want to hear about it in an anime show. But yeah, I just don't believe you would have given the good grace to somebody on the opposite side of the aisle, especially since you have denied Nux being on the show.
Was our thinking, because we already had him on once, and it was fine. But some people were angry.
He's underselling it. Yes, they had him on once, and some people were angry. A lot of people were angry. Now, the backlash probably wasn't near as extreme back then, to be fair, because Hasan was more of just a socialist idiot back then, and wasn't actually cheering for the death of children, of babies, in a conflict-torn part of the world. But yes, people were upset because, what are you doing bringing a political pundit, basically, at least a streamer who thinks he's a political pundit on your anime show? I mean, he was a bad guest the first time, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that was so turned off by it to have stopped watching the show. I mean, I bet that's only happened tenfold now with this instance. I wonder, I don't know if Trash Taste has released an episode of a podcast since then, but I bet there's declined viewership. I bet there's people, instantly hitting the dislike just to try and send a message that you guys fucked up. But yeah, don't minimize it and say, we had him on once and it was fine. Well, some people were angry. A lot of people were angry. It was just more forgivable because Hasan, while being an egregious individual, hadn't quite reached the depths and depravity he had reached up to this point.
About it, but yeah, I mean, it was ignorant on our part to think that, if you didn't talk about politics, it wouldn't matter. But yeah, a lot of things have changed in 2 years. I don't keep up with what's going on. I get all of my news from the BBC.
And there you have it. Of course he thinks Hasan Piker's a good guy. Of course he agrees with all the sort of politics. He gets his news from the BBC, one of the most biased, compromised sources, verifiably, mind you. This isn't even news. Oh, Leon, that hardcore right wing. No, fuck you. You guys know I hate both sides and I'm a goddamn anarchist, but that's neither here nor there. Verifiably as such, the BBC is one of the most compromised spaces in news or in journalism. So yeah, if cdawg gets all of his news from the BBC, that goes to show right now that I do not think that you are an intelligent, well-read voice who's going to even understand the political climate, let alone how to navigate having political juggernauts on in the Twitch and YouTube communities for fucking, God, I can't believe I just called Hasan a political juggernaut, but to an army of 15-year-olds who think socialism is the tits, he is. So yeah, instantly, I cannot, even if you're being as genuine as possible, I'm not going to take you seriously by proxy of you taking the BBC seriously.
I don't go on Twitter. I uninstalled it. I think all of us were kind of blindsided by it.
But again, this goes to show his ignorance. I don't go on Twitter. I uninstalled it. Now, I get it. X can be an incredibly toxic place, especially if you're so mentally weak-willed that you can't handle, negative comments or whatnot. That being said, that is a direct pulse into the lines of your fans and, frankly, just the public square at large. As a content creator, you should be on X. You should very much, at least, even if you're not commenting or posting, you should probably be getting a general feel and layout for what the populace is thinking, on both sides of the aisle, mind you, because if this blindsided you, it goes to show that you are that ignorant to what is going on in the world right now. Why would we want to listen to folk that are so ignorant to what's happening in the world? And again, I get it. Escapism is a thing. Trash Taste should be an escapist podcast. But we want the folks that run these podcasts, whether it be about anime or video games or gardening and whatnot, we want to hope that the folks that are running these shows are people that we can trust to be knowledgeable on whatever source they're referring to. So if you don't go on X, let's say you're talking about the general public's view on an anime. If you don't go on X, how are you going to know that? Because let's be real, that's where the majority of the voices are. What are you using? Facebook? That's dying? Are you going off what Game Rant or The Gamer tells you, or Comic Book News, or any of these other shill websites? I guarantee you wouldn't be using Bounding into Comics as a source for what people are thinking about anime. So yes, you're not actually even looking at the place where the majority of anime fans are posting their thoughts because you're afraid of toxicity. I'm sorry, that's weak will. That's not even... No one should take you seriously as a content creator if this is your mentality.
So it was kind of, a lot of people like they're out of touch. I'm like, I guess, like, I think that's safe to say if being in touch is living on Twitter and engaging with politics 24/7. Because
But you don't have to do that. It's personal choice. Again, I get it, you're British and you understand how freedom works and how freedom of speech works. But if you're on X, you don't have to engage with the politics. It's going to be there. You're going to see it. You mute it. You block it. You make it to where it doesn't show up on your timeline. And you move on. You can curate your algorithm and your feed to what you want to see. And yeah, it is out of touch. If you're just going to if being on Twitter, no one said be on there 24/7. But yes, you should be in touch. You should be in touch with your audience. And that's where your audience is. And we know this is where the audience is because that's what they're saying in chat, which is why he's bringing it up.
we just don't do that. We've never done that. I think that it's unhealthy.
How is it unhealthy to be in the same space as where your audience is? Not even your audience, but global audiences when you have a specific niche you're talking about, such as anime, so you can engage reactions. This is just making excuses for, oh, we made a mistake, but it's because we don't pay attention to X, and basically you're just trying to run defense, and you're doing it in the most just slimy, weaselly, bitch-made way possible.
I feel like the level of vitriol is almost like at a point that is so like toxic to everyone involved, that I have no wish to engage with it.
Then don't engage. But you could still use the platform for other things, especially as a platform that allows you to curate what you do and don't see. Also, you talk about these levels of toxicity and vitriol. Yeah, if that's the sort of stuff you're engaging with, that's going to be in your feed. It doesn't have to be. There is so much news that happens in the nerd space that is like toxic or negative from either side that I don't see because that's not what my algorithm is geared towards. I'm seeing my friends post their manga collections, or I'm seeing like people playing Final Fantasy music on a harp or whatever, or I'm just reading about my buddy getting a new job. It's very much like my Twitter algorithm, my X algorithm. I've actually had discussions with my buddies over at SNH about how mine is actually obscenely less toxic than theirs, and maybe it's just because I'm a positive individual and so I choose to engage with positivity while also keeping it at least relevant enough so I can continue to source stories for things like what we're doing tonight. But yeah, all in all, this was I mean, he's completely off base. Either none of this is true and he's making it up, or he doesn't even understand how the app works, how the algorithm works, and really they've grown too big for their britches in terms of honoring their fans and being able to connect with them in a more intimate manner. And that's the end of it. So, yeah, this was a piss poor excuse. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that they say they'll never bring him on again. Yeah, good. Hasan doesn't need to come on. He doesn't need to go anywhere. Let him live in his closed-off little box because he's beyond saving. He is irredeemable. He is a monster. He is a snake. He is, quite frankly, disgusting. I mean, he got unbanned after one day. Maybe we'll talk about that in a different video after this, later this afternoon or whatnot. But either way, look, this again, I think this is a piss poor response. I don't even know if Joey has made a response, but cdawg just came off as spineless and trying to kowtow to his audience and grovel to them and make excuses about why XYZ happened. And it's not a good look. You've been a content creator for how many years now? What, you can't just look controversy in the eye and say, all right, fuck it, this shit happened, time to move on. It's just such beta male behavior. I mean, it is some straight bitch-made shit. But those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at Bolt the Word. And please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news nearly every day. Not always about, YouTube drama or anime, but video games, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsparadise_Leon, and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord, choose the articles I go over on a day-to-day basis, choose the videos I react to on my Friday night live streams, and of course, get involved with over 150 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further, because we do care about diversity, but only one kind of diversity of thought. If that's interesting to you, join the Discord, hit subscribe, and until next time, it is all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.